Welcome to the America250PA Start Here, America Did podcast, telling the unique stories that make up the diverse fabric of Pennsylvania.
Hello to our listeners today. My name is Cassandra Coleman, and I am your host for today's podcast. As the Executive Director of America250PA, I am passionate about showcasing the multitudes of culture, heritage, and tradition in Pennsylvania. In today's episode, we are diving into an especially fun aspect of Pennsylvania's traditions, the New Year's Eve celebrations. And it is not your typical ball drop. What makes Pennsylvania so special is the heart of its people and their innovative spirit, which turns every tradition and celebration into something uniquely their own. So join me today as we explore 3 Pennsylvania towns that author their own traditions, transforming New Year's Eve into something so much more than just a countdown. Let's turn our attention to the charming town of Mechanicsburg, a place as unique as its name, which highlights its roots as a settlement of mechanics. On New Year's Eve, Mechanicsburg pays homage to its heritage in a most spectacular fashion by dropping an almost 11-foot-long, brightly lit, galvanized steel wrench. This isn't just any wrench. It's a beacon of community pride, glowing in the night sky, and each year adorned with the upcoming year in bold black letters. Since 2004, the town's citizens have gathered to witness this unique spectacle, and this year marks the 19th year of doing this, and this has become such a beloved tradition within the town. And to bring us closer to the heart of this event, we have with us today Darrell Westby, Vice President of Mechanicsburg's New Year's Eve Wrench Drop. And Darrell has been at the helm of the festive celebrations since 2004. And he's here to share the inside story of how a wrench came to actually symbolize a community's identity and festive spirit. So Darrell, we are so excited to have you here today.
It's great to be here and give you an update on what we've been doing the last 19 years.
Wonderful. And tell our listeners about the origins of the wrench drop and what truly inspired Mechanicsburg to start this, what has become really unique tradition.
It began as an Eagle Scout project by Sheldon Rogers, and he was trying to figure out some way to commemorate the town. And it was formed by mechanics in the 1820s and 1830s. His family is a family of mechanics. So they decided, well, one way to show what we do here and honor all the mechanics, even in today's environment, is to drop a wrench. So they designed this wrench. It's 13 and a half feet long, 33 inches wide on the big end, and about 14 inches on the small end. It weighs 85 pounds. And we have lights on it. But that's how it got started, as an event, Eagle Scout project to commemorate the mechanics that formed this town in the 1820s and 30s.
To think that all of that history from Mechanicsburg now has created this tradition that people look forward to every year. And how has the wrench drop created a positive impact among the Mechanicsburg community over the years?
It varies depending on the weather. On a good night, we've had about 4,500 people. In 2019, I believe it was, we had a 9-degree temperature. Everyone around us canceled except me. I'm from South Dakota, and cold temperatures doesn't bother me. But we had about 350 people out that night from all locations around us that canceled. And they said, thank you for having your wrench drop. Rain, snow, sleet, we still have it.
That is dedication. And you yourself have been leading this event since 2004. So what drew you to become involved with the wrench drop, and what has this role meant to you? You just mentioned you're not actually a Pennsylvania native. What drew you to Pennsylvania, and how did you get involved in this role?
Well, I'm a retired Air Force pilot, and I got here through the Air Force. I was the Air Force advisor to the Air National Guard, the 193rd Special Operations Wing in Middletown, PA. I got involved with the Chamber of Commerce. I was new to the board at the time when Sheldon made his rounds to make the presentation for his Eagle Scout project. I'm an ex-Scoutmaster from Florida. I have an Eagle Scout to my credit that I can claim. And the second boy earned his Eagle Scout a year after I was transferred out of Florida. So I had an attachment to the scouting program, and when I heard of an Eagle Scout project to do something like this, I thought it was rather unusual. So the Chamber of Commerce, after their vote, they said, okay, we'll do it, but you're in charge. And I've been in charge ever since.
Well, I mean, persistence, right? You persisted and you got the support that you needed. And now look, 19 years later, again, it's such a tradition that folks look forward to. And how about with the locality, the borough, the town? Do you have support and folks, from the local government there supporting the event as well?
Yes, indeed. The Borough Council, the last, I think it's 15 years, they've been donating money to the project. We also get a lot of support from the merchants here in town and various organizations. The donations vary year to year. COVID really hit us kind of hard, and we're still recovering from that. In spite of all that, we're doing well, and we're making money. In 2019, we finally got out of the red-black syndrome, and we're in the black and doing fairly well. So we hope we can keep this up.
My background, actually, I'm a former borough mayor, and I love listening to these traditions that each community is so unique and has. And, I ask you, what advice do you have for other towns or communities across the Commonwealth that may be looking to start a unique community tradition like you guys have?
Well, first of all, you have to take a positive attitude that this is something that you want to do and it's worthwhile for the community. But I learned through my life that there are naysayers for just about anything you want to do. You just have to disregard what they say and do what you think is right and find the right people to help support us. And I think over the time we've done that because we've got some people that have been with us since the beginning. During COVID, some people dropped out. We had some new people come in. And since COVID, some of the donations have decreased, some have increased, and we've gotten some new donors. So you just have to be persistent and get out and talk to the people in the town that want it. And there are people that you meet around town, and when they find out who I am, they say, well, I'm glad you're doing this, and keep it up. And on Facebook and on our webpage, people make comments that we're glad that you're still doing this. So we've got a hardcore following. And typically, the majority of people will come out around 11:30. They have private parties, and you can see them coming down the streets and the back alleys and coming to the main street. So it's kind of interesting to see who comes and how many have been coming over the years. And that's interesting.
I bet you see, too, probably a lot of multiple generations, right? I mean, I think that's probably something that you see as far as your attendance.
Oh, yes. In the early years, we had grade school kids, middle school kids, and that varies from year to year. COVID in particular took a hit on that, but we've had young kids, year old or younger, and in between high school kids. They all come out. But there is a following. Grandparents come out, and we've had people from New Jersey and New York and other states come down and take a look to see what we're doing. And I've met people during our setup between 8 and 9 p.m. that they're standing there on the street looking around. And so I ask them, where they're from. And it's amazing where they come from just to see what we do.
And that's amazing that you bring folks, again, from all over for this. And Darrell, there is no doubt in my mind that, one of the many reasons why this event has been so successful is because of your persistence and your dedication to it. So we just want to thank you for being on the podcast today. And we loved hearing about the Mechanicsburg wrench drop. And we wish you the best of luck. And we will absolutely keep our fingers crossed here for good weather for this year's New Year's.
Well, thank you much. And last year it was 55 degrees. 2004, it was 56 degrees. 2019, it was 9 degrees. So let's hope we don't have rain and fog like last year and we have decent temperatures this year.
Let's hope for another year in the 50s for you. So thanks so much, Darrell. And this Mechanicsburg wrench drop showcases the town's creativity and deep-rooted history in a memorable way. And as we mark the 19th anniversary of this wonderful tradition, it's a beautiful reminder of how a community can transform a symbol of its heritage into a focal point of collective celebration and unity. So thanks again, Darrell.
You're welcome, and I appreciate it. And thanks for the promotion.
Next, we're diving into a sweet sensation from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, home to the iconic PEEPS marshmallow. In 1953, Just Born Quality Confections transformed a marshmallow line from Rhoda Candy Company into the colorful PEEPS that we all love today. Bethlehem celebrates this in style with its annual PEEPSFEST each New Year's Eve. This festival lights up the steel stacks with a show-stopping 400-pound, 4 feet 9 inches tall yellow PEEPS chick drop, followed by a spectacular fireworks display. Joining us to share insights into this delicious event is Courtney Angle, a corporate affairs specialist from Just Born Quality Confections. Courtney plays a pivotal role in orchestrating PEEPSFest, an event that blends tradition with whimsy, welcoming the new year in a way only Bethlehem can. Courtney, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's not every day that we get to highlight something as sweet as PEEPS, but let's get started with a little bit of history. Can you tell us how PEEPSFest first came to be and kind of what inspired the original idea of celebrating New Year's Eve with this giant PEEPS?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for having me. The history, it's kind of fun and it goes back to collaborations. So first of all, this is our 15th year doing PEEPSFest, which is quite a feat there and awesome. And basically 15 years ago, Arts Quest, who hosts our event here at the Steel Stacks right in Bethlehem, they called Just Born and they talked about this wild idea for a PEEPS chick drop, which sounded kind of crazy, but also awesome. And we said, we're in. What do we need to do? And really the inspiration behind it is there was a lack of family-friendly holiday programming in our area. So really Arts Quest and Just Born came together to provide that. I think it's unique to end the event around, 6 o'clock. The Peep Chick drops at 5:30, but it still has that New Year's Eve feel, which is, I think, what makes it so intriguing and enticing to families to come out and celebrate New Year's Eve with us.
Some of the craziest ideas end up being the best ideas like this, right? I mean, ultimately, and the fact that it's family friendly. I'm a mom. I have a 9-year-old. He was actually really excited that we were doing this podcast today. But, I think that's really interesting. And I think that's awesome that, again, children can celebrate this and families can come celebrate this together. And how the community, let's talk about the community and the Bethlehem community as a whole. And how do they get involved with the PEEPSFest? And are there local traditions or activities that are a larger part of the event as well?
So it's kind of a twofold, right? Because we have our local PEEPS coming to the event, but then as well, there are just some real staple things to the event with the community of Bethlehem getting involved. So the first thing there is all our nonprofits that attend the event promote their organizations and what they're doing, but then they also provide a fun activity that's PEEPS related, whether that's a craft or whatever it may be. So that's a really fun thing that it's all local organizations here represented. Also, the Bethlehem Mounted Police are always a great tradition. It's so fun to see them kind of trotting in on New Year's Eve and people just going and petting the horses and just knowing to expect them as well. And then kind of like I said, too, obviously, we can't forget about the PEEPS chick, right? That's always a staple. And then we also have a diorama competition every year. So that is local schools that are getting involved in this competition. And they're able to put their entry in online. And then the community comes together. They vote for their favorite diorama. And then the winner of that, they actually get to drop the PEEPS chick, which is always just a fun thing, kind of just to see those different dioramas each year and then the excitement of people getting to come on stage and pull that lever to drop the chick.
That makes me excited thinking about that too. I'd love to be able to do that.
It's
That's
very
fun. So much fun. And I think that's also playing into the tradition, making it fun and making it, again, family friendly. And I'm sure 15 years of this event, I'm sure you're starting to see too, this becoming a tradition for families throughout the Bethlehem and the Commonwealth, right? I'm sure you're seeing them come back now with children or grandparents, and it's becoming kind of their staple event that they attend on New Year's.
Absolutely. And that's always, about memorable things. It's just seeing some of these faces throughout the years and recognizing them and seeing them grow and then bringing their friends along with them. It's just a really fun thing. And it's great meeting people that at the event and getting their feedback and, them letting us know that this is their New Year's Eve tradition. This is what they do every year. And the fact that we can provide that for them is just amazing.
That's awesome. And how about yourself? I mean, you've been a key player in orchestrating PEEPSFEST. And what ultimately drew you to this role, and what aspect of your work do you find, most fulfilling?
Yeah. So people often say, what a fun job you have. And it really is, right? Because Just Born is such a staple in our local community. And the fact that I can now just play a small part in that, it's just been very fulfilling to provide these families with a safe outlet for New Year's Eve, to be just a small part of their traditions is absolutely amazing. I always say, when my personal values line up with my employer's values, it's a home run. And that's what I found at Just Born. So very fortunate for that. And also just being hands-on in our community. I've lived in this area my whole life, but really just in the last couple of years of my role here, I have learned so much more about the need that's literally right in our backyard, right? And being able to volunteer and connect with people. I just think it's so important, and I'm very fortunate that I'm provided that opportunity.
That's amazing. And thanks for, your efforts and being involved in the community, because I think that's so important as, Pennsylvania companies, and here at America250PA, we tout that all the time, and we tout that with our partners about giving back and truly recognizing these communities and rolling up your sleeves and getting hands-on. And I think it's really important, again, that not only are you providing this as an outlet and a safe outlet, but you're also remaining involved in the community throughout the entire year as well, right? I think that's super, super important. And
yes,
over the years, PEEPSFEST must have had its share of memorable moments. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but any specific memorable moments or things that jump out as being some of your maybe top one or two memories?
Yeah, so there's always a fun one. So we kind of touched on seeing people come year over year and watching them grow and things like that. So we actually, PEEPSFEST, it's a 2-day celebration. So it's the 30th and the 31st. Pretty much the same thing each day. That just lets us spread the love and get more people out here. So on the 30th, before it opens to everybody who has a ticket, we do have an add-on that's a Peepsonality family fun run and walk. So that's on the 30th, right before PEEPSFEST opens. And you may be wondering what Peepsonality is. And really, that it's your personality, right? That's our fun take on that. But we really encourage the folks out for the walk or the run to get dressed up in whatever expresses their Peepsonality. So it might be bright colors. It might be Peeps merch or gear or handmade things with actual Peeps on them. It might be your pajamas. That's okay too. So that's really fun to see. But there are the same, I believe it's 4 women every year that come out. And to me, it's fun to see the adults getting excited. They always have a great outfit. And every year I very much look for them, and I look forward to see what they came up with this year. And that's always just a fun thing year over year. I remember to look for and enjoy and talk about each year. So it's great.
That's awesome. And thanks for sharing that with us. And I just want to thank you, Courtney, for giving us this delightful peek into PEEPSFEST. So thanks so much for being here with us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
It's heartwarming to hear how an iconic candy has inspired such a joyful and vibrant New Year's Eve celebration. As we've learned, PEEPSFEST and its annual Pickle Drop is more than just a spectacle. It's a gathering that brings the community together, creating unforgettable memories each year. Finally, for our last feature, we're taking a playful plunge into a celebration that's a real big deal. In Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. Imagine this. Every New Year's Eve, the town gathers to witness the descent of a giant pickle. Yes, you heard that right. A giant pickle named Mr. Pickle, complete with arms and a dapper top hat. As the clock strikes midnight, Mr. Pickle makes his grand descent, symbolizing the start of a new year. Joining us to dive deeper into this fun-filled and quirky occasion is Chad Reed, treasurer of the Dillsburg Community Association. Chad is here to share the story behind this unusual tradition and what it means to the people of Dillsburg. Chad, thank you so much for being a part of today's podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And I have to say, Chad, we are all curious. tell us about the history of Mr. Pickle and how this came about and how long this has been a tradition in Dillsburg.
So the first Pickle Drop was back in 1993, so 92 to 93. That New Year's Eve was the first Pickle Drop. A bunch of businesses in the community just kind of endorsed the whole pickle theme since we are from Dillsburg, and they kind of ran with the dill theme. So we have a Pickle Fest, a Pickle Drop, that kind of stuff. And it has gone on since that year, every year except for one. One year it was canceled because of the weather.
That's awesome. And I think this has become such a really cool tradition. And tell me, is it true that thousands of people come every year to see this drop?
Yes. It's impressive how many people show up, even in really bad weather.
Yeah,
it can be really cold, and there'll be a lot of people there. It can be rainy. It can be whatever. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of people there. When it's poorly attended, there's probably close to 1,000. And when it's really well attended, it's probably 3,000 to 4,000.
That's amazing. And let me ask you, your attendees and the folks that come to this event every year, are they just part of the Dillsburg community, obviously the extended community? Do they come from all over? Where do you see the majority of your attendees coming from?
Obviously, the majority of the people come from Dillsburg. A lot of people just walk. But we have people come from all over the world that come to the event. It has gotten a fair amount of notoriety around the world, and just random people will show up. Last year, we had people from like New York City, and in the past, we've had people from Germany and England and a bunch of countries over in Europe area.
That's really, really cool. And how does the Dillsburg community really embrace this tradition and the visitors and the guests?
They love it. They would be very disappointed if it went away, which is how I ended up in charge of the whole thing. Everybody wanted it to continue, but nobody wanted to be the person that had to continue it. And I went, no, we need this to continue. So I took it over with my wife ultimately. And then the Dillsburg Community Association, which is newly formed, then has taken over all of the things that were in the community event-wise.
Well, thank you for that. And thanks for stepping up to keep this tradition going. And I'm sure the community is appreciative of that as well. And are there any special activities or local traditions that ultimately accompany the overall Pickle Drop?
The Pickle Drop, the big Pickle Drop, is at midnight. But starting at 4 o'clock at Dillsburg Elementary School, which is right in the backyard of the big Pickle Drop, there are kids' activities. And that culminates with a baby pickle drop at 7 o'clock.
I love it.
So the pickle drops, and then there's a bunch of balloons dropped. So there's kids' activities and food and all kinds of fun things for the kids up until 7. And then new this year, honestly, we are having food trucks and a band perform at 9 o'clock over by the big pickle drop, and even a vendor or two.
Well, that's super fun. So you'll have a little bit of everything.
Correct.
And I have to ask, I know our listeners are probably thinking the same thing. So the adult pickle is Mr. Pickle. Does the baby pickle have a name?
Yeah, baby.
Just baby pickle. So we're going to continue to call the little pickle baby pickle. And you yourself, as you mentioned, have been a part of organizing this event for years, and you've stepped up now to truly make sure that it continues. What does that mean to you to be able to ensure that this tradition continues for generations to come?
I think it's awesome that I was able to step up and keep it around for the community. You know, the community really enjoys it, and I enjoy being able to help the community become a better place. And, you know, these kind of events that bring people from all over the place together, that's good. You get to interact with your neighbors on a nice, just out in the town kind of event. So I think it's awesome.
That's great. And again, thank you so much for taking this on and to ensure that these community traditions, this well-known Pennsylvania tradition, is able to be continued. And Chad, it was such a joy having you here today with us. And we just want to thank you again for taking the time to talk a little bit about your town's beloved tradition.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
The Dillsburg Pickle Drop wonderfully showcases the town's flavorful spirit and powerful sense of community. It's evident that Mr. Pickle is so much more than just a playful figure making his grand New Year's entrance. He symbolizes the joy and unity that Dillsburg embodies. This event is a vivid reminder of how traditions can bring people together, creating a sense of belonging and shared celebration. So as we wrap up today's episode of Anything But the Ball, Pennsylvania's unique New Year's Eve drops, I want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Darrell Westby, Courtney Angle, and Chad Reed for joining us and sharing the vibrant stories behind Mechanicsburg's Wrench Drop, Bethlehem's PEEPSFEST, and Dillsburg's Pickle Drop. Each story we've heard today reflects not just the creativity and spirit of these Pennsylvania towns, but also the strong sense of community, togetherness, and joy that these annual celebrations bring. From the striking descent of a giant wrench in Mechanicsburg to the sweet charm of the PEEPS chick in Bethlehem and the whimsical delight of the Pickle Drop in Dillsburg, we've seen how traditions can be as diverse and dynamic as the communities that create them. These events are more than just spectacles. They're a testament to the heart of the people who come together to celebrate them. As we move forward, let these stories inspire us to find celebration in our own homes and honor traditions with the spirit of creativity. Thank you to our listeners for joining us as we explore Pennsylvania's captivating New Year's Eve celebrations. We hope you've enjoyed listening about wonderful traditions across the Commonwealth as much as we have. This is Cassandra Coleman, and I am wishing all of you a year ahead filled with joy, community, and maybe even a little bit of the unexpected. Happy New Year, everyone.
This has been the America250PA Start Here, America Did podcast, produced by Commonwealth Media Services. Stay tuned for more epic Pennsylvania stories at America250PA.org.